This is Casey5693 here with a Christian response to the latest episode of Helluva Boss. And my response is, it really shouldn't trigger you.
Okay, I know you need a better explanation than that, and here it is. The world of Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss is not meant to be a biblically accurate version of hell or heaven, and we shouldn't really expect it to be. This isn't something made by Christians for Christians who read the Bible. It's an alternate universe created to tell two different stories. And honestly, the stories they tell are interesting. The wide cast of characters run the gamut of being hopeful and cheery, dark yet sympathetic, hilariously violent, intimidating yet charming, downright despicable, and everything in between. With every one of them being written interestingly enough to keep you coming back for more. If I had to choose a favorite story, it's going to be Hazbin Hotel, because of their more redemptive themes and a wider variety of compelling characters. Also because I love angel dust, but that's just me. As others have pointed out, there are things that this interpretation does get right. Lucifer is deceptively handsome, the overlords act like biblical demons with their deal-making and their cruelty, the people who are in hell deserve to be there, and every character has done something that warrants their fate. Except for Charlie and Fat Nuggets, and possibly Vaggie, but that's just because we don't know her backstory yet. The story is also honest about the nature of sin and how it corrupts people and destroys lives, and we see that illustrated in unexpected ways. Like in Stolas' broken family, Angel's pursuit of stardom, Blitzo's loneliness, and so on and so forth. And that level of honesty is something I can really respect. But the description of heaven from today's Helluva Boss episode is what is getting under people's skin, and I would be lying if I said I didn't see why. The cherubs and angels don't look like biblical creatures. Although, to be fair, biblical angels are terrifying even if they are good, and they aren't adorable at all, but still. The cherubs fight the imps for the salvation of today's target, albeit out in the open instead of in the invisible spiritual realm, which is where most of those battles would normally take place. And the cherubs we see here are well-meaning but kinda judgmental and incompetent, and are ultimately unable to turn Lyle from his wicked ways or save his life due to the intervention of the imps. And most offensively of all, they're banned from heaven because of it. The last part is really pissing people off, and again, I'd be lying if I said I didn't understand why. The version of heaven we see in the Hazbin universe so far is not the one accurate to the Bible. And neither is salvation. In the Bible, it is not good works that save you. It is repenting and turning to Jesus and handing over your life to Him so that He can bear the condemnation of your sins and His Spirit can cleanse you and sanctify you and redeem you to God's family. In this version of heaven, it is good works that save you. You have to be a good person to enter heaven in this universe, and if you mess up, like the cherubs did, it seems that you're out. Now, we don't know yet if those rules only apply to the angels or to the angels and the humans. That is an important distinction because God treats angels differently than He does humans, but that remains to be seen. Also, humans don't turn into demons or angels when they die in the Bible, but that's just a technicality. Anyways, biblically, demons and angels fight for the salvation of humans, but we're led to believe that the lines that have been set since the rebellion at the beginning of time have not changed. So we have no reason to believe that cherubs would be kicked out of heaven for failing to save this episode's target. But once again, that is artistic license. Which leads me to my main point. As a Christian fan of the show, I find the show interesting for the artistic licenses it takes. And Fibsy Pop and Brandon Rogers for Helluva Boss, they've done something really interesting here, whether they intended to do it or not. And then they go to show why the idea that most people have of heaven, of good work saving you, just doesn't work. And the reason is because no one is perfect. No one can be perfect, and so relying on that as a way to salvation doesn't work. And this episode especially shows the flaws of that logic. If even cherubs can't be perfect all the time, then who can be? So this is actually a pretty good criticism of that way of thinking, which I'm not sure if this was done on purpose or not, but still an interesting point. Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss were not written by Christians. You can't expect the show to line up with the Christian way of thinking. And honestly, if you are going into it even expecting it to be completely biblically accurate in the slightest, then it's no wonder you're disappointed. And even though the show doesn't align with the Bible, I still say it makes interesting points enough of the time to be worth watching. If you can look past the gratuitous violence and dark comedy, there is a lot of interesting stuff going on behind the scenes, and more backstories and subplots that I can't wait to see fleshed out. If the show tempts you, though, in any way, in any sort of thinking, or just bothers you as a Christian, I understand if you don't want to watch it, but if you're watching it and expecting it to line up with the Bible and plan on getting triggered and making all these nasty comments because it doesn't, I'd say that you should have known what you were getting into.